we got to tie this back in to the Abraham story. Genesis chapter 12, 1 through 3. God tells Abraham, and this gets renewed to Isaac and to Jacob, I will make thy name great. I will give thee land. I will give thee posterity. You turn to Exodus 2, the end of that chapter. God says, I remember the covenant I made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And therefore he takes the people out of Egypt. He was covenantally obligated to do it. And he is now trying to complete or fulfill his covenantal obligations to give the promised land to the people. That's what's going on here. God is acting in history. So we pause here in these verses because we want you to see that the Bible writers are trying to make it exceedingly clear. The book of Jehovah Saves, the book of Joshua, is about how God fulfills his promises to save people. It's his works and deeds, and he needs the man Joshua to lead the people. Now, what we also notice, if you turn to verse 8, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written. Therein, for then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. So we often just breeze over these scriptures. If you pause and listen to what God's asking, the book of the law is the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, the covenantal instructions for faithfulness. So we talked about the 2 covenantal mountains. The first is Mount Moriah, the Abrahamic covenant, where God is promising that he will do all these great deeds for his people. But he needs them to be covenantally faithful to him in response. How do they know what to do? He reveals the Torah, and this is what's going on. Verse 8, you need to live by every word that I have laid out for you. So verse 5, 6, and 7 are all about the Abrahamic covenant, and verse 8 is about the Mosaic covenant. Verse 5, 6, and 7 is God's obligations and what he wants us to do, and then verse 8 is very specifically, how do the people need to be loyal back to him? And again, it concludes chapter 23 and 24, where God renews the covenantal instructions, saying, if you want to have peace and prosperity in the land, here's what you need to do. And you guys all know how the story plays out. In Judges and later on, the people continually show that they're not faithful to God. And over hundreds of years, eventually, he says, all right, well, if you guys are not ready to receive this inheritance, and the Abrahamic promises are not broken. God will not break those promises. But I'm going to send you away for a while. Maybe you guys think about it, and then I'll bring you back maybe in a couple of decades and let you try again. And this is kind of the cycle that's been going on for centuries with God's chosen people.